Hello everyone! Welcome to Roots Tech. My name is Shawnice Luthi, and I am presenting on searching in the 1850 U.S. Census through the 1940 U.S. Census. What are the different strategies in searching in the 1850 U.S. Census and 1940 U.S. Census, you might wonder. So to begin with, you want to write down the name of your individual. And if there are several different results, then you would add the birth. And then you narrow it down by adding the location. And if there's still just too much, then you will add the exact birth year and location. And if you're still not finding them, you can use the wildcards, which is the asterisk and the question mark. And then there's also different spelling of the names. You can also work through other family members, especially if they're unique. Now, going forward, we will do 3 different case studies and apply these techniques to finding them in the census. Before we start the case study, though, what exactly is a wildcard? So a wildcard, the asterisk means multiple letters. You can have William, which you'll see later on, and you can put the asterisk for the I and have W asterisk LL, and then the last name. You can do WIL and then the asterisk, and then. So what is a wildcard? A wildcard is an asterisk and a question mark. With the asterisk, it means multiple letters. So if you're doing the name William, you can do WIL and then asterisk. There needs to be at least 3 letters before. And then a question mark is a single letter, and that can be in any name. So as the examples given below show that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are 3 generations for this case study. There is William Jasper Harris. He was born in 1835 and passed away in 1909. He is the father. He will be in the 1850 U.S. Census. I'll be using him as the example. And then William Jasper Harris was born in 1859 to 1926. He is the son. I will be using him for 1860 to 1920 U.S. Census. And then you have John Ernest Harris, who's the grandson of William Jasper Harris, the senior, and the son of William Jasper Harris. And so he was born in 1886 to 1964, and he'll be the case study for 1930 U.S. Census to the 1940 U.S. Census. So just some brief information of the 3. You have, right here is William Jasper, the father. These are his parents, Zechariah and Almeria Emily. And then you have his wife, Martha Ann Smith. And then this is his son, William Jasper, who will be doing 1860 through 1920 U.S. Censuses. And these are the rest of his children. After William, then you have his son, William, who married Jessie. His parents are William and Martha, as we were mentioned before. And then his birthday is, he was born in 1859. He died in 1926. This is his son, John Ernest, who we'll be using for the 1930 through the 1940 U.S. Census. And then for John Ernest, he was born in 1886. These are his children. He married Ellen, and these are his parents. Now to begin, these pictures of the censuses and of these individuals are all off family search. The citations will be in the handout that you guys can get if you want to see directly where I get them from. So to begin, we have the 1850 U.S. Census. So the very first steps of what I did was I typed in William Harris. I typed in his birth, and I had several different results. So I knew he was born in Illinois, but I didn't know where his family was at the time. I didn't know. So I added Illinois, and I still had several different results. So I decided to do the next step, which is move to the unique family name. So I did Alamara Harris, which is his mother, and I did her birth, which is 1818, and I still had several results, which actually surprised me. So then I added Utah for the location, and I still had several results. So at this point, I was kind of stumped because I'm like, there's just so many results. So I decided to try her middle name, and I did Emily Harris. Now there was one result, and I wasn't sure if it was her or not. But I kept that in mind that, okay, there's an Emily Harris that also matches William and Artemisia, his sister. So I did his sister, Artemisia. I did her birth, 1835. I did the location, Utah. And I had 2 results on Ancestry, but I had 1 result on Family Search. And she is actually the same person on both censuses on Ancestry. So this is the same census I found for Emily. I'm like, okay. So my final result was William, right here, matched his birth year. His sister matched right here. The mother matched. Edward, I was not sure who he was because William's father died in the 1840s. Then I noticed that on her family tree she married Abraham Smoot. So I'm like, okay, well that makes more sense. So like I mentioned, I don't know who Edward Harris is. Information that can be gathered from the census is you all know they're living in this household, but there's no relationship mentioned to the head of house. So a lot of people might think that she's married to Edward, but we don't know that. We can't infer that. And then there's also no occupation listed. There is land right here listed, like the value of land, but that's about it. And then you have the age, and then their genders. And then, as we continue on, in 1860, we'll have his son, William Jasper Harris. Now, both Williams are on here because William is only not even quite 1. So what I first did was I typed in William Harris. Several results. Very popular name. After that, I added 1859, his birth year, thinking, hey, that should be easy. Then I added Utah. First result, there was nothing in 1859, then I added Utah. In the first result, there was him, and then his father was the second result. As you can see, I have William, Martha, and William. So I know this is the correct family. And then also the information that I can gather from the census so I know what others to look for, other records. I have the occupation as farmer. So he's a farmer. Okay, he must own land. Oh, look, he does have land right here. In the yellow area is his real estate. So he owns it's $100 value of land. And then this is his personal estate, which he owns 600 of. So, once again though, there's no relationship. So, I'm going off inferring that William is the son of William and Martha. Then in 1870, we still have William Jasper. So I just did the same steps as I previously did. I added his name, his birth, and I had several different places. I did not have just Utah. So then I narrowed down my search to just Utah. There were still several different results. So since I wasn't finding just the son, I decided to try and find the father. I added William Harris, and then I did 1838 and Utah. I was able to find William under his father. I'm not sure why he was not listed beforehand, but he could have been indexed wrong, or that's my guess. So on this information, the information that I'm going to gather and I'm going to take with me to refer to other records, once again, is the occupation. So now he's a laborer, his father. He was born in Illinois, so that matches with what I already know. He does have a different occupation, so he could still be a farm laborer. He could be a laborer of many different things. His mother's keeping house. William and his brother are at school, and then the rest of his siblings are at home. Once again, there is no relationship to head, but there is the location of both parents of birth and of the children's birth. So after the 1870 census, we move on to the 1880. The 1880 census is where we start to see the relationship. So the very first thing I did was I typed in William Harris with his birth, 1859. Once again, there were several results in different places. After that, I narrowed down my search to Utah, and I added his middle initial J. My result was there was a William B. Harris, and it turned out that his middle initial was actually misindexed. So as you can see right here, and I can see how they would think it was a B, but it's a J right there. So this is my individual. This is his father. The reason he was on the next page of the census. So they have so the information that I'm going to gather from the census, like I said before, is the relationship. So the relationship is finally mentioned. So Martha's the wife, William's the son, Hiram's the son, and then Mary's the daughter. And then you also have him back to farming, his father. And then she's still keeping house, and they're both at home. I also have, not only do I have the birth location of William's parents, but I also have the birth location of his grandparents. So I can use this information to help me find birth records or records that will support birth records that don't exist. After the census, 1880 census, 1890 census, because it was burned, lost. So we move on to the 1900 census, and we still have William Jasper. So William Jasper, once again, I wrote in his name and his birth, and I had lots of results. Next, I narrowed down his location and to Utah. There was different results, but the main result that I got was his dad. I couldn't find him in Utah. So I'm like, okay, let's try his wife. So my next step, I did Jessie, his wife, and I found out that she's still living with her brother. She's living with her brother and children, but she's still married. So I'm like, okay, where did William go? So I typed in Will J. Harris. I typed in his exact birth, his exact location, Utah. I had no results. Then, after that, I did William J. Harris, his birth, 1859, his exact location, Utah. And results, I got W. J. Harris. So I'm like, that's interesting that I have W. J. Harris, because he hasn't gone by that the entire time, and he's not with his family. But the information that I found from it was he's a boarder, right here. Okay, he's a boarder. So he is working out of home, away from his family. He's also living in Wyoming. So he moved to Wyoming to work. I also know his birthday's in August. I also know he's born in 59. I also know he was born in Utah, and his parents are both from Illinois. And then this is what I found. He's a railroad contractor. And so he's out in Wyoming working on the railroad. So I thought, well, that's interesting. So in 1910, I did 1859, his name, and I still had results. So then I added his location to Utah for his birth, and there was still none. there are different results. So after that, I did the wild card. I did W asterisk 2L. So there has to be 3 letters, period. And then Harris. And I had many results. So then I remember, okay, in 1900 he went by William J. So he went by WJ. So I typed in WJ Harris, and I found him under WJ Harris. So the information, he's right here, that I gathered is he's back with his family. He is actually living with his mother, Martha Ann. And how I know this is because the relationship to head, he's marked as son. And then you have daughter-in-law. And then you have grandchildren, granddaughter, grandson. Then I also continued on. I'm like, okay, this is still my individual. He's been married 1 time. She's been married 4 times. She's had 12 kids. 9 are living. And then his mother was born in Illinois. Also has their parents. But how I also know it's him is he's still in the railroad company. So now he's into grading. So in 1920, I continued to search for him. And I type in William Jasper Harris, 1859, many results. And then I also add in Utah to narrow it down. The result is he's living in Idaho with his family. So he moved from Utah to Idaho. And so he's right here, William J., his wife, his children. He's renting. He can read and write. His parents are from Illinois. And this one says his mom's from Missouri, which I thought was interesting. And now it states he's a farmer on a general farm, so his own farm. So he went from railroad to farming. So unfortunately he dies in 1926. So he's not in the 1930 census. So now we're going to go to his son, John. So John is a very, very, very common name. So I typed in John Harris. And I knew I'd get lots of results, but I wanted to see if I would be able to get any top results of his. And I didn't. So then I added his birth year, which is 1886, and I still had several different results. After that, then I added his location of Utah to narrow it down. And I was able to find him under John E. Harris. So he's right here with his wife, Ellen. He's renting, but he has 8,000. He was 20 when he got married, and she was 19. And we already know that both his parents are from Utah. However, he's also a bookkeeper for a newspaper. And so, I thought that was really interesting too. I'm like, wow, we go from a farmer to a railroad, back to a farmer to a bookkeeper. So after researching the 1940 census for John, I typed in John Harris, and once again, several results. I added his birth, 1886, several results. And then I used the bio card, the question mark. I did J question mark HN Harris, his birth year in Utah, and the result was I found him. And then the information that I was able to gather was his wife, Ellen, was actually the one who informed. And how you can tell is this little X right here. They are the informant, giving the information to the numerator. And then they're renting. They're from Utah. They lived in Provo in 1835. Still living in Provo. And then also, he's now a warden in the state prison, a deputy warden, which I thought was interesting because once again he was a bookkeeper and now he is a deputy warden in the state prison. So you can gather lots of different information from the censuses. You can also, like I showed you, the different steps for a recap. So you're going to start with the individual of the name. If you can't find them in there, you're going to add the birth, add location, and if it's still not popping up, then do the exact birth and the location. Try the wildcards. Do your different spelling of the names. So like with William Jasper, I had to do WJ. Also try finding them with other family members. So I had to find the father William through his mother and sister, and then I had to find the son William through his father. I hope this is really helpful for you. You can contact me at untangoyourroots@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any more questions. I'm also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at untangoyourroots. You can also visit my website at untangoyourroots.wixsite.com. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you continue to enjoy the rest of Roots Tech.